Considering home security? Consider this. For 140 years, ADT has helped stop more crime than any other home security company. The yard sign isn't just a sign, it's a line in the sand. It's no wonder 5 times more people choose ADT to protect their homes. Visit ADT.com to learn more. For license information and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
Happy Friday morning, everybody. We made it. Welcome in to another edition of Golic and Wingo. Glad you are here with us and getting ready for a big weekend. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic Jr., ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
I'm trying to decide when you say get ready for a big weekend.
Yeah.
Do you mean sports or do you mean Star Wars?
Either one is applicable this weekend. That's why it's literally a big weekend.
It is a monster. Star Wars The Last Jedi comes out last night and opening the weekend. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no, it's a big one for certainly our company. Go check it out.
Yeah, twice.
All really appreciate that.
Good job, Junior.
Big weekend for Ray, our programming director, who is the biggest Star Wars fan of our bunch here, bar none.
Is this the movie where the most people dress up? And in character going to the movie. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go back.
Could you go Harry Potter?
Oh, yeah.
Potter
there you go. Harry
there.
Potter.
Yeah. There's always a lot of really...
I don't know. I think more people would dress up for this one, though.
I think so as well. All the different characters.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a bigger narrative.
Well, I contributed, so see you later.
That's
all she wrote.
Did you bring that up by personal experience? Did you dress up when you saw Harry Potter?
No,
I stopped going to the Harry Potter movies after like the second one.
Okay. You missed out because it really finished strong. But there is a larger narrative universe for Star Wars. I feel like that obviously in Star Trek butt heads to head because there's so much involved in the canon that you can really pick a lot. You have a lot more at your disposal costume wise. So a lot of different body types.
I'm wondering what will be the etiquette for this. Now it opened last night, right? I mean, the late shows. I'm sure.
Midnight show. Yeah, I think that's the case. Right?
Your mother, by the way, tried to tried to get you and I tickets.
It opened at 7, actually.
No, she did. She tried to get us tickets, but obviously could not. It's everything's sold out everywhere. She was going to surprise us with some tickets.
Look at Mom go. It's the thought that counts.
Surprised at us not going right now. But what is the spoiler alert for this one? How long do you have to wait for this movie?
Before you tell how it ends?
Before you give away things that Star Wars people would lose their mind about.
Let's put it this way. We had that talent meeting the other day. Yeah. Ryan Rucco and Amin El Hassan were both there, and being a part of our company in New York and in Los Angeles, they had both been privy to early screenings of it. They had been, seen it through the company, those early premieres. And they immediately started discussing it, but had the courtesy to run over to the other side of the gymnasium that we were in and make sure that they were reclused so that no one else could have this seep in. I'm telling you, for self-preservation, wait at least a week because this is the last group of people you want against you.
Yeah, because as Tim already tweeted into the show, I'm hoping that Herm Edwards is not a guest on Golic and Wingo today. Don't want any Star Wars spoilers. This goes back again when you were filling in for Greeny, and Herm was here, and Herm gave away the most unbelievable spoiler in Game of Thrones.
The bad guys got a dragon.
It was unreal. And he said, I'm just going to give you a little thing, a little thing. Bad guys have a dragon. I mean, that blew up Twitter. I don't know if I've seen anything blow up Twitter. And how do you get mad at Herm? You can't get mad at Herm. Mike was mad at Herm for a short time.
I was very mad at Herm. It's sort of that idea how I've heard it talked about in post-game press conferences. If you want to have a tough question have one of those kid reporters ask it because no one's going to say no to a kid reporter or admonish him. If you want to have someone deliver a spoiler, make it Herm because he's really impossible to get mad at.
Can't get mad at him, but man, that was a big spoiler he gave away. Well, you'd have been livid because you're a big Game of Thrones guy, Trey.
Love Game of Thrones, absolutely. So, feel bad. Herm was all about the dragon lady. As you call the dragon lady.
But bad guys have a dragon. That line will go down in infamy. So quickly, something we want to throw out there at Golic and Wingo is because of Star Wars, there's no doubt people waited overnight to get tickets to this thing, probably months ago when they first went on sale. So have you ever stayed out all night to get tickets for anything?
No.
Have you ever?
I don't care about anything. I'm dead inside.
You're dead inside. Well, people, listen, we see lines all the time of people waiting overnight to get tickets to something. So I'm wondering what people out there would wait overnight to get tickets to? Is there anything in your life that you would spend the night sleeping out somewhere at a box office that when you get up so you can get up in the morning and be one of the first in line to get tickets for it?
Does this apply to just movies? Does this apply to like Black Friday shopping?
Anything
that we've
you want.
seen people
Anything.
wait out?
What would make you like I can't think of anything. The only thing I could think of, if I had to physically buy a really good ticket to watch you and Jake playing the national championship game, that your wife and I would have spent, my wife and I would have stayed out all day to get that because it would have involved kids. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Nothing.
But we know people do it.
All right, so maybe there's another way to do this then. That one's all there. What about this one? Obviously, it's opening weekend. People are all excited. Getting out to the theater. What was the last movie you saw on opening weekend? Like the day it was open, the opening night of the movie. Golic and Wingo. What was the last movie you went to the box office that night and had to see it as it came out?
This is actually hard for me to remember because I do it fairly often. See, the life hack in all of this is that you don't have to go to midnight premieres anymore. Most of the day before on Thursdays, they have 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock showings of these movies. You can go at a reasonable hour. Now, you won't get to see the news cameras and the people in their costumes, so if that's the life you chose, I don't begrudge you that opportunity.
I can't think of the last one I went on opening weekend, though, but I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Like, you were into the Harry Potter stuff, for the books and the movies and stuff, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. I was part of a big line for the very last Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight in 2008 was a big one, too. I remember those were ones like in college, I did this a fair amount. Went and saw The Dark Knight, went and saw the first Avengers movie in college in the midnight screening when it came out.
College almost doesn't count, actually, because you have, let's say
you're not a real live person at that point.
Exactly. So let's go post college, right? Let's go
as an adult.
Yeah, as a air quote adult. Post college. When was the last movie you went and saw the opening weekend? Hit us up on Golic and Wingo.
So you guys are trying to vacate my experience.
No. We're just saying good for you.
All right, no,
you already have your wins vacated. So,
by the way, we got a lot going on today. It's our all access day with the Philadelphia 76ers as they get set for a game tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They came off the win in Indiana on Thursday or Wednesday, whatever. Yeah, yesterday, whatever that was.
Whatever the day
Thursday,
was.
Yeah, Wednesday. They're playing tonight in Philadelphia. Then they're playing the Knicks Saturday. But it's the game is on ESPN tonight. Oklahoma City at Philadelphia. A full day of exclusive coverage with Sixers related content airing throughout the day. We're gonna have all kinds of stuff. We have Julius Erving is going to join us in just a few minutes, so that'll be interesting. We're looking forward to that. Stu Gotts will join us later, as will Damian Woody and Stephen A. Smith. But there was a big game in Cleveland last night. Lonzo Ball meeting LeBron James for the first time in their NBA careers, and it was a big night for LeBron James.
Yeah, it was. LeBron triple-double, 25, 12, and 12 in this one as the Cavaliers got the win, 121-112, and that was the big hype-up because Lonzo, his rookie year, has more assists and rebounds per game than LeBron had his rookie year, one year in college and the other just coming out of high school. People making a big deal of that, and then the possibility that, everybody thinks that LeBron is going to end up with the Lakers next year and a teammate of Lonzo Ball and the rest of the crew out there. One thing I will say, I've already been on record for months saying I don't think that's going to happen, and I know we'll delve more into that. But I'll say this: I know the Lakers are just 10-17, and they're not going to have a winning record this year. But boy, I tell you, they are young and they are tall.
Well,
they
are
still
long. Could have a winning record. There's only 27 games.
I understand that. Okay. I'm just saying I don't think they will. Gotcha. My point is they are young and they are. I can see the hype for what this team is building and looking to in the future because they are terrors in the paint. Terrors in the paint right now with the length that they have. Lonzo is still looking to pass way before shooting, and on the broadcast, you hear them saying all the time that, well, he's just looking for the open man. And I get that, but there's also part of it. I don't think he wants to shoot as much either because he's not shooting very well. And hopefully he'll work his way out of that as he hopefully becomes a better shooter. But he moves the ball around really well. It's a really good young team.
Well, it's the world that LeBron James has afforded these kids the ability to live in. LeBron commented a lot on how Lonzo and a lot of these players come up have looked to him as their favorite NBA player for a long time. And what was the conversation around LeBron James, even going back to his time in Miami, was that was a guy that was looking to pass first. And he even said, I look to be a role model for guys so that they can say, I can make the right basketball decision in those moments instead of forcing a shot. And that can still be something that's revered. So this is the direct benefit of what LeBron James has tried to build.
Well, LeBron had a very LeBron James game last night. 25 points, 12 and 12, assists and boards to tie Larry Bird, by the way, for 6th all-time in triple-doubles. So we'll give him our MVP moment of the week. Brought to you by Sport Clips. You watch sports, we cut hair. It's perfect. Sport Clips, it's good to be a guy. So, look, Lonzo and LeBron, obviously it's their first meeting, and there's all this talk about where LeBron may be going when this is all said and done. Might he go to the Lakers? And Lonzo has talked a lot about how much he revered, as you guys said, LeBron, and there was a little conversation.
Yeah, there was.
The pennies
jersey
over their mouths.
Yeah, jersey over the mouth.
So there are no lip readers out there that could maybe delve into what was going on. Well, after the game, LeBron discussed his relationship with Lonzo and all that comes with it.
I don't see the reaction because I don't get involved in it. I don't do it to get a reaction. I do it because, he's said over and over since he was growing up and who he modeled his game after. And who was his favorite player, and it was me, and I was humbled by that. So me wishing him a happy birthday was kind of the salute back to him. I see all the, the stupid noise that happens, and I can't buy a place in L.A. I can't live in L.A. It's funny noise, and but I don't get involved in it because when I post things, I don't look at comments. I'm so far removed of the white noise and the noise that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me.
So we don't matter.
Listen, and a lot of people making the fact of him buying his house out in L.A. I just didn't see it, guys. I didn't see the move. Because he talks about wanting to be involved in Hollywood. LeBron is going to be involved in basketball while he's playing basketball. LeBron could go out and be involved in Hollywood all he wants, and he's one of those guys. He doesn't need to be in one spot to have anything work for him like Hollywood. He's got time to do that. And while he's playing, I think he wants to win championship, and his best road to the championship right now is to be on Cleveland and get there to try and beat Golden State. So if he were to go to L.A., would you say L.A. is ready to beat Golden State? You just wonder how much longer Golden State has to be where they are right now. But, man, you look at that starting lineup for the Lakers last night. You obviously have Lonzo Ball, who's 20 years old. You have Josh Hart is 22. Larry Nance Jr. is 24. Where's Ingram? Ingram is Kuzma comes off the bench, is 22 years old. I mean, it's ridiculous, the youth of these guys. Ingram is 20 years old. I mean, it's crazy how young they are and how talented they may be down the road and what they're going to build. So I can see people saying, boy, put some unbelievable veterans like a LeBron James with them, and man, what they could be. We'll see. Time will tell, but they're just not there yet. But they are a fun group to watch.
They've got room too. Like they've got cap space to work with, and I think that's the real feather in their cap. We know Cleveland's been strapped for a while and having to get pieces out of the bargain bin anytime that they've made moves, with the exception of the trade this offseason. So I think that's the other part of the appeal. But to your point, you don't need to be in LA for that. He's got private jets.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, look. The whole
makes
point,
the world very small.
The whole point is, would LeBron go to be the final piece somewhere, right? That's been the thing talked about.
Right.
Could he be the final piece? And look, it's going to be talked about until we decide what the future is with LeBron. It's going to be discussed. And our intrepid NBA writer, Ramona Shelburne, who does a great job with all this, and she was with us earlier this week, spoke about the LeBron to LA rumors after the game.
Tonight was a night for reading all sorts of tea leaves, and I'm sure that there are lip readers out there trying to figure out what LeBron said to Lonzo after the game, but they pulled their jerseys up to cover their mouths, and after the game, neither of them wanted to share with us what was said. LeBron said, I'm not going to say anything, but when we did ask about Lonzo Ball, he said, man, he just plays a team game. It is all about team, and people focus on individual stuff so much, but he has such a team identity, and the way he stressed that, that's important to LeBron and the way he plays. It stuck with me, and he actually used a line. I know people are going to pick up on this. He said he's a guy you want to play with. But from what I'm told, right now, LeBron it's considered kind of a long shot for LeBron to go to the Lakers at this point in the season. But LeBron at this stage in his career is chasing Michael Jordan, right? He's got 6 championships. LeBron has 3. And that's right now all that matters. And so wherever we get to in July, when we start having these more deeper conversations, those are the teams that matter. And those teams better have max cap space.
Well, and that's the thought process with the Lakers. If some of the moves they're talking about making, they would have max for 2 players. And the thought is Paul George and LeBron James. We'll see. That's one of the fun things of the NBA now is where everybody goes. That's what made the offseason so much fun this past offseason because Carmelo and Paul George, they're going to probably be moving again. Is Chris Paul going to stay in Houston? The way it's looking right now, they're playing really well, but others are going to move. But the linchpin here is going to be LeBron James. I can't figure out this one, an anonymous league source.
Those are always the best.
The old anonymous league source with this quote: "The most dangerous thing in the NBA is LeBron as a free agent." Trying to figure out
in what type of context are we talking about?
In what capacity?
Dangerous in that everyone will be coveting him. Dangerous that if he goes somewhere, automatically this team becomes the team to beat, and everything else suddenly is irrelevant. I mean, what are we?
I don't know, because there are many people that say, "Forget LA. You want to go to a team that has a chance and go maybe stay in the East." That'd be the 76ers. Go play with, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. You want to talk about having some teammates that could take some pressure off of you. That would be somewhat of an interesting thing as well.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just what it takes to get him and court him, because we saw when it came to Kevin Durant the other offseason, the amount of teams that spent time courting him and then had to, after the fact, respond once he didn't pick their team. So you have to go all in on a guy of that caliber. But then once you do, you've wasted a lot of time and resources if it doesn't work out your way for you and your team.
Well, look, maybe it holds up everything for a bunch of teams hoping to get him, and they can't make a move until they know what's going on there. By the way, the Rockets are a team that also got mentioned, maybe for LeBron when this is all said and done. But there's another super. He's never been on a super team. That was his line. He's never been part of a super team. But that would be interesting.
You wonder, too, with LeBron, how much of this is what we've always seen. I heard Mike Tomlin say the other day that he makes comments to the media to send a message to his team. Right. He's usually talking to them through the media. You wonder how much of this, let's say, ambiguity about this on LeBron's part is to sort of keep that pressure on the Cleveland front office there, that he is stressed over and over again.
Yeah,
he wants more and more from him to make sure they're willing to give him the parts that he wants. So if you keep this constant bit of pressure and saying, maybe I will bolt, maybe that house in LA is looking pretty good right now. My kids like private school there too. It's a little warmer and sunnier. My wife might be into that. All of that ambiguity surrounding his move could just be that little bit of extra pressure he needs to make sure he gets stuff done.
Or he really doesn't know what he wants to do. That is also a possibility here, right? He's not sure.
Or he's just rich and really likes to buy houses in a lot of places. If I was LeBron, I'd start trolling and just buying property all over the NBA right now.
To your point, Trey, I think, he's got to be like a chess player, and he's got to, while the season's going on, he's got to kind of look ahead.
Correct.
Okay, what can we do? If I stay here, what do we have the ability to do? Who will be out there that we could possibly get for the next run? Because he's at a point, if he stays in Cleveland, outside of, Kevin Love has been there and been kind of with him through this as one of the other great players. But other than that, some of the ancillary pieces have been changing. There have been others that have been there the years with him as well. But, they're losing people and bringing people in. So I'm sure he has to keep thinking who can be brought in, because it'll change again. Next year, will Dwayne Wade be there again? Is Derrick Rose even going to contribute anything this year? Who else will be gone from that team that they'd have to try and bring it up? Because that's what it's going to be. If he stays in Cleveland, let's be honest, that's what it's going to have to be for him for however short a time he has left there, is they're going to have to piecemeal. If Love stays, and other pieces stay, fine. But other than that, they're going to have to get the pieces around him, where if he were to go to another team, it may be a little more set in stone, the type of roster that they have.
Or give you more ability to make bigger moves, to your point, 2 max deals in LA and some of these other places. That becomes interesting. I have to imagine you look at this the way that you would look if you were a kid coming out of high school looking at recruiting. You have an idea, I think, of where you want to go, but you also keep in mind, all right, well, I have to pay attention because this coach might move or change job. I may look and see they might take certain other guys at my position or at positions around me that could affect the way that I perceive this. So it's like anything else. You could probably have an idea and then have to have that ability to be flexible with it, because he knows as well as anyone how quickly and how fluid this NBA situation is.
But the other part of this is, look, Cleveland is different for LeBron because he's from Akron. It's close. It's where he's from. It's a harder sell on a lot of other people, is it not?
Well, it depends. I mean, the main sell is a championship. Right. The main sell is
that wasn't enough to keep Kyrie around.
You're right. I mean, it all depends. That's why I guess to add to that, it would be older players.
Yeah.
That you're going to get in to kind of roll through. You keep your base, but then the older players, because Kyrie is like, Kyrie, it reminded me of when the Cowboys won their first title with Jimmy Johnson in '92. So now and it was right before free agency was getting ready to hit. So you had guys that had a ring, and all of a sudden they were a free agent, and these other places are offering a lot of money. You're like, wait a minute. okay, I got my ring. I can go get a lot of money and maybe go be a starter somewhere else. Kyrie's got his championship. He wanted to kind of get out of the cloud.
Which I understand.
He wanted to get out of the cloud of LeBron and moved on. And the difference there, it's not really for more money because you're going to get the max there. In the NFL, you could certainly go get more money somewhere else.
Right. By the way, that's a great point and a great topic because I'm firmly convinced free agency destroyed what would have been a team that could have won 3, maybe 4 straight NFL Super Bowl titles.
They didn't do too bad winning 3 of the 4.
3 out of 4.
Yeah.
But they were decimated. You look at all the starters that lost off that team. It's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, sorry I brought it up. I went 0 for 9. Okay, I don't want to hear you feeling bad because they only won 3 out of 4.
I'm just saying that team.
Woe is them.
The depth on that team.
I went 0 for 3 on training camp.
Unbelievable.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golic and Wingo rolling through a Friday morning. Glad you're here with us. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic Jr. on ESPN Radio or ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And we are presented by Shell. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold.
So we got a couple of questions out there on that social media thing out on Twitter.
That social media thing.
That social media thing.
As we have another person forget to turn on their mic. Yeah. What's the body count been for the mic in the first few weeks? Jesus.
But you know what? Before anybody knew it, I turned it on so nobody would have known it until you just didn't sell me out.
I like to peel back the curtain here.
I appreciate that.
Read
very
more
much.
from the social media.
At Golic and Wingo, we have a couple of questions out there with Star Wars The Last Jedi premiering this weekend. We're asking what is and people no doubt stayed out overnight in some places to get tickets to this. What event would you stay out all night to buy tickets for? It could be any event, anything you would spend all night out waiting to get tickets for, and then along the lines of the premiere, what's the last premiere you went to as an adult? We went to post-college. As a supposed adult, what's the last premiere you went to? And really getting some great feedback. The Thug Pastor, I love that one.
Wait, what's that Twitter handle?
Thug Pastor.
Okay.
Yeah. He stayed in line for 16 hours in the rain for NSYNC tickets for my daughter's 10th birthday present.
Well, kudos to him.
That's impressive.
That's a good dad.
That's an ovation.
That's
an O. That's an O. Right, Stan? That's an ovation.
It's also a great pick. I mean, as someone who went to a Backstreet Boys concert not too long ago, the boy band concert experience really is
worked out well. Dustin said he would sleep outside for Brown's Super Bowl tickets.
Well, wow. I can understand why you would.
How about that?
I can understand why you would.
And then the last premiere Kevin said he went to was Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little while ago.
Right, we talked about spoilers, too, right? Because of the Herm story. Herm, Tempe, kill it. We love you. We miss you. Lisa writes in, I saw The Last Jedi last night. Phenomenal. As for spoilers, she says 5 to 7 day spoiler ban. Let's not ruin it for the kids.
I would think you got to wait at least a week. Yeah. I would think wait till after next weekend.
At least,
right?
Especially for movies, because we talk about with television all the time, especially when it came up with Herm's Game of Thrones spoiler, that with premieres and season finales, it's like a 24-hour period. You're responsible to see it. With movies, it's different. People got a lot of life that gets in the way of going and spending 2 hours plus at a theater for something like this.
And then there's Kyle, who wanted to throw a little bit of levity in early in the morning here.
Well, we were trying, so we couldn't, so maybe he can.
Let's see if this worked for Kyle.
Please.
I once went to a Star Trek movie. It wouldn't be Star. He got that wrong because he said he was dressed as Chewbacca, so that would be a Star Wars movie, Kyle. Let's start with that. I once went to a Star Wars movie premiere dressed as Chewbacca. It was a Wookiee mistake.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Hey,
you know the Star Trek portion of that was part of the joke, right?
Yeah. By the way, speaking of
no.
Speaking of spoilers,
the crew is up in arms right now at the way you buy. I mean, poor Ray back there.
I don't think Kyle's that smart.
No. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I don't think Kyle's that smart.
actually Ray's pen name, so joke's on you.
6:32 and 50 seconds on the East Coast. Golic fires shots at somebody.
There
All
you
right,
go.
good to go.
Wow,
By
poor
the way,
Kyle.
Let's talk about spoiler alerts. You remember the movie The Sixth Sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that movie till after over a year after it was out, and somehow the ending never got to me.
That he was dead?
That he was dead the whole time.
Whoa.
And for those that haven't seen it, sorry I'm spoiling it for you
Sorry.
from 1998.
Yeah.
Okay? But I went a year later, and I was like,
Really?
what the heck just happened? How that stayed away from me, I have no idea all that time.
That is pretty amazing because that was one of the big ones.
I
yes.
mean, there was basically no internet at that point. It was either like dial-up or that kind you see on the black screen. It's just green letters. Original internet didn't really have spoiler
capability. We were all
capability.
talking about it in the newsroom.
Right. It was word of mouth.
Never got to me.
By the way, speaking of spoiler-ish things with Pulp Fiction, heard an interesting note on the SportsCenter note from LeBatard show yesterday. Every time John Travolta goes to the bathroom in Pulp Fiction, something bad happens.
Oh, no.
The exact opposite, actually. Someone might get their wings because they might be dead, but every time he goes to the bathroom in that movie, something bad happens.
A reason to watch the film again.
Look it up. It's in a book.
That is interesting.
So let's get in. Let's try and right.
Let's do a sport.
Let's do a sport thing.
Steer it back.
Okay. Sports.
Yeah.
The sports.
The Cleveland Browns are the first team in NFL history to start 2 seasons back to back 0 for 13.
Yep.
Okay, they're still looking for their first win as they take on the Ravens this weekend. And the new GM, John Dorsey, was refreshingly candid when talking about why he thinks the team is struggling.
You got to get a guy like that players. And you know what? I'll come straight out with it. You know what? The guys who were here before that system, they didn't get real players. And I think, as Bill Parcells would always say, you are your record. And you know what? There it is. So that's the truth teller in this thing. And I'm going to do my darndest to get Hugh players. And that's all I can ask for, and that's all I'm going to do. I like the man.
All right, that was on WKNR where he made those comments. And some people are upset with that, and I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, the idea of what he's saying, I get. He probably – listen, I've always said this since the day I got a microphone put in my face is I never believe in talking outside the locker room. And while that really wasn't, the one line that is about getting real players. To me, there's really no need to throw that shot out there publicly. But as far as what he was saying, listen, the truth hurts tough. You know, you were 0-13 2 years in a row. So I get that he has his work cut out for him and he's got to get Hugh the right players, the right mix of players for it to work. That was the only thing that kind of, I don't need to hear that publicly that Sashi didn't get, the right players or they need to get real players. That's a little shot that I don't need to hear publicly. I'm kind of a little funny that way where I don't need to hear that coming out of the locker room.
Yeah, I'm totally out on this. And listen, John Dorsey, great draft record when him and Andy Reid were together in Kansas City. Yeah. A lot of those guys that they pulled up were starters for those teams, multiple Pro Bowlers, either as starters or alternates. Has a great track record with that. But it's not like the guys that Cleveland brought in were other dreck. I mean, the top end of the draft, are we ready to call Myles Garrett and Jabril Peppers bust? They've got plenty of depth on that D-line that they drafted. They signed that offensive line that we were all really high on. Kevin Zeitler in that great contract. J.C. Treader. They drafted Joel Bitonio and kept him there. Joe Thomas has already been there. They got a great receiver back. Corey Coleman's been making progress. Yeah. Stop me when you've gotten to the players that can't become something. How does Hugh Jackson keep skating blame in all this?
Look,
because that's what this seems like it's about.
Well, there's two things there. First of all, Hugh Jackson's not skating blame, but John Dorsey knows he's stuck with Hugh Jackson. I mean, let's be clear. The owner has already said Hugh Jackson's coming back
next year.
And the hiring process went, you need to understand you're with Hugh Jackson, okay? Because that's not going to change. That came from Jimmy Haslam. So that part I understand. As for the players, some of the players you said, they're okay. But let's go through the Cleveland Browns first-round draft picks since 2011. This is the 27 Yankees of horrible drafting. In other words, they're so bad, they're the best bad drafters of all time. 2011, Phil Taylor, defensive lineman out of Baylor, not on the team.
Right.
2012, Trent Richardson, Brandon Whedon. I think we all know how that went.
Yeah.
2013, Barkevius Mingo. He just got his first sack of the year last night in the Thursday night game for the Colts. 2014, Justin Gilbert. Not on the team, maybe not in the league. Johnny Manziel, same thing.
Right.
2015, they got Danny Shelton, who's been fair at best. They got Cameron Erving, who's a center that they tried to play a tackle. Now he's back at center, and he's okay. Corey Coleman,
he's gone.
Yeah. Well, he's in Kansas City now. Right. He's in Kansas City now. Corey Coleman from Baylor University has been fair. Now, I'm not gonna judge this draft class yet because they haven't played a full season. Myles Garrett looks like the real deal. Jabril Pepper still doesn't really have a position, and Njoku has been average at best. So I'm not. You are what you are, man, and they have not drafted the right players. And I got no problem with him saying that because at some point those players that are there got to be a little angry about that and step up and play better.
Well, I don't think John Dorsey saying that is going to all of a sudden make them play better.
But also, by the way, was Sashi Brown, was he the GM for all of those drafts?
No, he was
because
not.
Because last I checked, he was only responsible for 2016. So he's talking about Sashi Brown. He's not talking about this organization. You chose to disparage one man who set you up in a position that we all talked about is about as enviable as any in the NFL going into the draft this season.
Only if they get it right, which is the thing they haven't done.
Good luck to John Dorsey then. You better nail this if you're going to come out talking all this you-know-what.
And to Mike's point, and you mentioned a lot of players from drafts ago, and I get it, but that's not what Dorsey was talking about. Dorsey was talking about Sashi Brown and the guys he brought in. And some of those guys that we mentioned are still playing, and you have to give them the benefit of the doubt going a little further. So to your point, yes, they have screwed up a lot. But when he was talking about one guy in Sashi Brown, to me, it just went a little too far. You want to say that behind closed doors? I don't care if you get up in front of the team and say that. That's fine by me.
Amen.
But you know what? This one guy has barely been there, and now all of a sudden, he's the guy not getting real players for the Browns. I thought it was a little much.
I guess to this point, and Trey, what you said, you understand you're stuck with Hugh Jackson for right now, it seems.
Yeah.
If the only way you can prop your guy up is by cutting somebody else down, that says a lot about your guy.
Well, look, I think you guys are reading way too much into this. They haven't developed and gotten a ton of players. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with Bill Parcells saying that. I don't think there's anything wrong with Bill Belichick saying those kind of things. Look, at the end of the day, players have to perform. And if those players don't perform, you'll get new players. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
It just seems like this is about a quarterback, and he's using it to indict the rest of these players, some of which are NFL players. The fact that they haven't gotten a quarterback. You can say he hasn't gotten him a real quarterback, but looking at making an indictment of the whole process.
To that point,
seems like a blanket
Sashi
statement.
Brown was the one who said they didn't think Carson Wentz was
he blew that one. There's no doubt about it.
There you go.
No doubt about it.
All right, by the way, Dr. J will join us. He's coming up next. Talk about the 76ers and the All-Access Day we got for us on ESPN. We roll on Golic and Wingo. Glad you're with us on ESPN Radio or ESPN2. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic Jr. And you want to talk about straight talk? There was nobody cooler in the history of the NBA or had more swag than our next guest. Mm-hmm. And we are delighted to be joined by the good doctor himself, Julius Erving, Dr. J. Basketball Hall of Famer, joins us now on Golic and Wingo as part of our ESPN All Access Today with the Philadelphia 76ers. Julius, thanks so much for being with us. It must be a lot of fun for you as a 76er alum to see suddenly the tide turning for this team after all these years of trust the process. How much joy are you getting out of what you're seeing on the floor from this young squad right now?
Well, I'll tell you, the happiness that I'm experiencing is kind of hard to explain. I've watched the team play half a dozen times this year. They're getting the TV games. They're a commodity. They're not only fun to watch, but they really look legit on the court. Like each and every night, they're like a real threat, and I'm happy about that. But before we go any further, I was listening to the previous chatter about Bethpage Black, and just in terms of one little tip about Bethpage Black, fellas, when you're in the rough over there, don't look at degree. Just take a wedge and get it. Just take a wedge and get it out. Just get it back at the fairway and then go for the green.
Oh, he's exactly right. There's a sign at Bethpage Black that says, "Warning: this is a very, very difficult golf course. If you are not an expert single handicapper, don't even think about it." That's how brutal this course is.
Yeah. Adjust your expectations. You just go ahead and prepare to take that bogey or that double bogey.
That's when I just pick the ball up and throw it out of the rough. All right. Julius, you were one of the great athletes, not only great basketball player, but one of the great athletes to play this game. So when you see the guy like a Joel Embiid, the size of him and what he's doing, a point guard and Ben Simmons at 6'10" and what he's doing. How does that look to you, that evolution of athletic ability of players in the NBA?
Yeah, well, I'm just glad that they're on our team. You know, when we really think about it, I mean, Simmons is a lot like Magic Johnson, a lot like LeBron James. And, you know, everybody says that, you know, he just has an unbelievable upside that makes him comparable with those guys in terms of, you know, these first 24 games or 25 games or what have you. And you know, his start is as good as all of those guys, including Oscar Robertson. We were talking about that last night when I was over at TNT. And then Joel, who, you know, I mean, Brett Brown was always saying, he says, you know, I might have the best center in the league, you know, once my kid gets healthy. And I was a little skeptical because I had never seen him play, and I didn't see him play when he was at Kansas. But it's every bit the truth. I mean, you know, Joel is one of those guys, irrepressible, because you know, he fuels the fire, and he knows his basketball IQ. Simmons and Joel both, you know, have extremely high basketball IQs. They know that you have to move the ball, that you have to move your body, that you have to, you know, make things happen. You got to make your teammates better to make you better. I mean, you're always going to be the go-to guy at the end of the day, but it takes 12 to win the game.
No, Julius, I know you've said you've been to about half a dozen games this season. Have you had a chance to visit with either of those guys in this team at all? And is there anything that you would say to them advice-wise in this young season while they're kind of learning their way through this?
Well, I've seen a half a dozen games. I haven't been to any games yet. So my first game will be January 3rd. So I'll be in Philly January 3rd and January 5th for the San Antonio game. And I think they play Indiana on the 5th. But so I haven't been to any games yet. So I've been, you know, armchair quarterbacking. And if I could answer your question from, you know, sitting in a seat and looking, you know, somebody definitely has been communicating the right story, and I think it's Coach Brown.
Well, he certainly has. And you know, one of the things that makes this team interesting besides Embiid is the length they have at point guard with Ben Simmons.
What time it is?
It's 6:51.
Yeah. Okay. No, my wife is saying we got to go, and I know we're set up to go off at 6:53.
Okay. Well, we in the 1 minute we have left with you, just want to make sure. What do you think of the way Ben Simmons is playing a point guard, 6'10"? It's sort of a difference maker with a guy like that.
Yeah, you know, and the other irony is, I mean, he's averaging 17 points a game, and you know, he's not shooting any three balls. He's not jacking it up. He really doesn't take bad shots, you know, unless you consider, you know, going inside and going left or going right from 4 or 5 feet and missing, you know, a bad attempt. But there is no bad shot when, you know, when you're attacking the hole the way that he does. So I think he's going to eventually expand his game, but he doesn't have to expand it right now. I mean, he's having a huge impact, you know, as it is. I remember with Maurice Cheeks, everybody used to always, you know, try to tell Maurice Cheeks he needs to shoot the ball. He needs to shoot the ball, and eventually, you know, he got a little set shot going, then he got a jump shot going, and then eventually, you know, became a, you know, double-figure scorer consistently and a threat. But, you know, those are things that were a part of a process, and it took him a while to do that from that point position, because you do want your point guard to score, and there's nothing wrong with the numbers that Ben is getting right now.
No question. Hey, Dr. J, we really appreciate you being with us. We know you got to catch a flight, so thanks for stopping by. Right. Always love watching the play. The author of the greatest layup in the history of the NBA.
There you go.
1980 finals against the Lakers.
Right. Thanks, Doc.
Up there on the backboard.
Thanks, Dr. J.
You got it, absolutely. Dr. J, never a bad time to have Julius on the show. Coming up, home field advantage potentially on the line in the AFC this weekend in the Titanic showdown between the Pats and the Steelers. That's next. Stay with us. Golic and Wingo.